Welcome back to the show. I'm Anushan Selvaraja. Frontier Research recently did a study on the growth rate of the country, focusing specifically on the provinces and how they have performed. So to shed some light on this study, joining me from Frontier Research is Associate Chayu Damsinghe. Welcome to the show, Chayu. Now just to start off, give us a brief overview of the study.
Alright, Anushan. So we looked at household income and expenditure data from the Household Income and Expenditure Service. So we took that from 2009-10, 12-13 and this latest, which was in the 2016 data, and we looked at the breakdown of how different economic indicators have told different stories in each province that we have. So overall we found that generally they say the same story, let's say GDP or income, unemployment, but there were instances where there were slight anomalies from which we could gain a little bit extra information about what was happening and what we can gain out of that.
So what were the higher performing provinces?
So overall the Western province did best in every province. After that it was again different indicators told different stories. So the Uva province, which is generally considered a more poor province, actually did really well in GDP per capita. It did almost second best after the Western province. But in other instances you usually saw the Northwestern and Southern provinces doing well in terms of income and expenditure. But if you take GDP per capita, you did see those changes with provinces like the Uva province and the North Central province coming up.
What were the reasons behind this sudden increase in performance from the Uva province?
One thing that we think in the Uva province was that the Uva province has a few different economic pockets, right? So you have a pocket of tourism in, for example, Ella, and also some residual impacts from Yala, as well as you have the religious activities centered around Kataragama. While the vast majority of the province is centered around a more standard plantation-based industry. So we think that the impacts of those economic pockets and the fast growth of those economic pockets, especially of Ella in recent times, has caused GDP per capita, for example, to rise a lot, while household incomes have remained relatively lower due to the overall province being generally poor.
As you said, the study was from 2009 and with the latest update being done in 2016. Now, in that time, from the time period, Chayu, how has the northern province done?
So in the northern province, Anushan, one main thing is that expenditure data was not available for the previous periods. But for income, what we can see is that it has been growing really fast. It has been growing the fastest of all. But of course, the levels of income started from a very low level. Another thing that we can see, for example, in northern province is that, for example, that investment by the state is largely into capital investment, so into infrastructure and things. So any growth that is there right now could also be as a result of that kind of thing. So whether that kind of growth is sustainable into the future is again something that would require more investment into more recurrent things like salaries, like more development of not for physical infrastructure but of say training and things like that.
The common theme in the study is that tourism is all around. So how has the tourism sector improved the performance of these provinces?
So what we see with tourism, a very important thing, a very interesting thing that we see with tourism is in the southern province. So the southern province has one of the highest rates of unemployment in the country. Usually you would expect when people are unemployed, they have less money. But in fact, the southern province also has one of the highest levels of income in the country. So one thing that could be affecting that is, like you said, tourism, because a vast amount of the people employed in tourism are informally employed or part-time employed. So they don't come under the formal definition of employment. So as a result, we think that the demand for tourism as well as the return from tourism that comes to the people is very seasonal depending on how the tourist cycles go as well.
What did you find in terms of the northwestern province's performance?
So in the northwestern province, what we've seen is after the northern province, it's been seeing the highest levels of growth in both household income and household expenditure, and this has been going from 2009 to 2012 as well as from 12 to 16. So for other provinces, it has been a fast growth in one of those periods, but the northwestern province has continued to grow in all those years, as well as they've also started from a considerably alright start. So it's not a poor province growing extremely fast suddenly, but it's at least a well-to-do province continuing to grow fast. That combined with the fact that we see a lot of consumption in consumer durables in that province makes us think that there might be a strong influence of a middle class in the northwestern province, something that might not necessarily have gotten a lot of attention outside this kind of phenomenon. But we see the opposite thing in provinces like the eastern province and the north central province, where again you have very, very low levels of expenditure growth, maybe even negative. That's mostly as a result of income growing, but expenditure taking time to catch up. So they've gone almost negative in the 2009 to 12 period, but in the 12 to 16 period, they started to catch up, but it's not enough to catch up with the income growth yet.
Right. Overall then, Chayu, how has the country done? How has it performed?
Overall growth, we think that from the provinces and moving upwards, it's not bad. So that's a benchmark that we can say. It's definitely not bad. There are definite opportunities for growth all over the country in different provinces, and again the overall country can grow forward. We do expect growth to pick up slightly in the coming years, and we do think it's on an upward trajectory. Whether it's going to grow into really high levels of double-digit growth or something is probably unlikely, but we do think growth is going to moderate and going to become better in the years to come, leading from the provinces upwards.
Thank you for joining us, Chayu.
Thank you, Anushan.
That was Associate of Frontier Research, Chayu Damsinghe. Thank you for watching Benchmark, and we hope to see you again next time.